Hi, my name's Colin Barnes from Collaborate Online. We're here today to ask, what is cloud computing? What do people mean when they say, is it cloud-based? Is it in the cloud? Well, we thought we'd start by canvassing some opinions. So we asked a local taxi driver what he thought about cloud computing, and he said, well, it's like computers on the internet, in it. Well, that's not a bad definition, certainly a reasonable place to start. But in the interests of balance, we thought we'd ask one of our technical geeks what he thought. And he said, it's like software as a service or platform as a service, whereby web-based applications are delivered using virtualized techniques via established broadband connectivity protocols. Well, I don't know about you, but at the moment, I'm with the taxi driver. In truth, to try to define this service, it's rather difficult. We're trying to define the evolution of computing services. We could ask our friends at Google, they seem to know everything, and they tell us that there are over 230,000 definitions of cloud computing. This certainly gives us food for thought. As I mentioned, we're trying to define the evolution of computing services, and in order to do this, we probably need to go backwards and see where we came from. Well, in the beginning, computer programs were typed out, printed out on punched paper tape, and people in black and white offices using teletypes uploaded them to highly prized and valuable resources, those days were called mainframes, located in air-conditioned basements often some miles away from where the computer user actually was. Now this is an interesting thought, because way back then we were renting space on valuable resources that were often located some distance away from where we actually were. I think we're going to come back to that later. Let's fast forward a few years and we can see that colour has been introduced to the world, and most importantly the microprocessor revolution has meant that PCs have popped up in just about every office there is. Now, colour didn't make it to the screen in those days, but at least we had PCs in our offices. The microprocessor revolution had distributed the computing power from the air-conditioned basements out into our offices. We call this Revolution 1. Now in the computer world, things don't stand still. Those clunky desktop machines gradually evolved into the sort of sophisticated desktop machines that we just about all use now. That's the nature of computing. Things incrementally move forward. The change of itself doesn't have to be dramatic, but if it improves things a little, it will be adopted. That is the evolution of computing services, and it continues to go on. Now, is this cloud computing? Well, not quite. Something else happened. It was another revolution, and you all know what it was. In fact, you're probably all using it now. It was, of course, the internet. Yes, everything became connected. We started to buy things online, we started to sell things online, we started to do more and more things online, and the broadband world is really here. We can be connected to any place, any time, just about from anywhere. This we call Revolution 2. Okay, are we there yet? Well, almost. That evolution didn't just happen to the desktop machines. Those air-conditioned basement machines evolved into those powerful rack systems that are now host in data centers across the country. And whilst they used to cost millions, indeed tens or twenties of millions of pounds comparatively, now a few thousand or tens of thousands at the most pounds can buy and operate a very comprehensive rack-based system that can be hosted in one of the local data centers. And this evolution had another trick up its sleeve. This trick was called virtualizations. Now these powerful rack-based systems can split themselves up from one large server into maybe 10, 20 or even more mini servers, so that when you connect to it, you feel you're connecting to your own personal private server. And the clever thing about virtualization is that it's automatic. So these rack-based systems can grab more or less computer resources as they need them and as they're being asked for them. And this had led to the final piece of the puzzle. Yes, we've had a micro-revolution, we've had an evolution, we've had an internet revolution, and we've had a further evolution. And those rack-based systems can now be charged to us on a meter-like basis. In other words, we can be charged when we use them, for how much we use, and for what we use. There's a very obvious comparison there, in that we all use electricity, but we don't choose to have generators in our homes. And here we can see it, that now computing power has become a little bit like electricity, and that we don't need to make our own computing power. We can buy computer resources as and when we need them, paying only for what we use when we use it. What are the benefits of doing this? Well, obviously if it's hosted remotely in a data center, you can access the data anywhere, anytime, any place. And don't forget, of course, that it's your data. So the effect is you always have your files, your information, with you at all times. Of course, it's secure and it can be accessed by any device. And that last point's proving more and more popular as people want to access the data from mobiles or from tablet PCs. Now compare that to the old way, where you had your own server, your own staff, and looked after your own security. It's actually a wonder that the old way ever got off the ground at all. Now finally, a warning: this is a disruptive change. People who embrace the cloud will gain a competitive advantage. It's the transformation of computing from a product to a service-based industry. So when people ask, is it cloud-based? They really mean, does it live in a data center somewhere and is it accessible by you and your team or your clients from anywhere? It's actually the utilitization, the turning into a utility of computing resources. My name's Colin Barnes. Thanks for taking the time to look at our presentation. If you'd like to chat to us about the cloud or our own cloud-based services, why not call us, the numbers on the screen, or visit us at collaborateonline.co.uk. Thank you.